It was just another chilly morning in downtown Seattle. The sky was the usual watercolor wash of grays, the sidewalks damp with last night's rain. Commuters rushed by with their heads bowed against the wind, coffee cups in hand, earbuds in ears, lives in motion. But inside a tiny hole-in-the-wall coffee shop tucked between a bookstore and an antique record store, time moved slower. Behind the counter, 28-year-old Clara Matthews wiped down the counter with practiced motions, humming softly to a Billie Holiday tune playing through the crackling speakers. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, strands falling across her forehead. She wore a fraying wool cardigan that had belonged to her mother, and her hands bore the faint burn marks of someone who spent more time serving others than serving herself. She didn't complain. She couldn't afford to. Every morning, Clara opened the shop before sunrise, then rushed to her second job at the community library before heading home to a one-bedroom apartment she shared with her younger brother, Josh. After their parents passed away 5 years ago in a car accident, Clara had put her dreams of becoming a writer on hold and took over caring for Josh, who was only 13 then. Now, he was almost done with high school, thanks to her sacrifices. That morning, Clara had exactly $6.47 in her bank account. Payday was 2 days away, and dinner tonight would probably be another round of instant noodles. She'd learned to live without much, but what she never let go of was her kindness. The bell above the door jingled. She looked up. An old man stepped inside, his gray trench coat dripping wet, his beanie soaked through. He looked like he'd slept on a park bench. His hands were trembling slightly as he stepped up to the counter. Clara smiled warmly. "Good morning. Cold one today, huh?" The man nodded, his voice raspy. "Yeah. Just needed something warm. Cheapest coffee you've got?" Clara glanced at the register. A small coffee was $2.75. He reached into his coat and pulled out a few crumpled bills and coins. They totaled $1.84. He looked up, embarrassed. "Guess I'll just take hot water." Clara paused for only a heartbeat. "No," she said, punching in an order. "I've got you today. 1 medium coffee, extra hot. On the house." The man blinked, surprised. "Why would you do that?" Clara shrugged, pouring the coffee. "Because everyone needs kindness now and then." He took the coffee in both hands, as if it were made of gold. "Thank you, what's your name?" "Clara," she said. "And you?" The man smiled faintly. "Joe. Just Joe." He sat at the corner table, slowly sipping. Clara returned to wiping the counter, thinking little of it. She'd done this 100 times, paid for coffee, handed out free pastries at closing, helped regulars apply for jobs on the shop computer. But what Clara didn't know was that Joe wasn't just an old man in a soaked coat. He was Joseph Everett Whitmore, billionaire founder of Whitmore Tech, the man behind one of the largest privately owned software empires in the country. And he wasn't homeless. He was dying. Stage 4 cancer. No family left. No wife. No children. No one he could trust. For months, he had walked among people anonymously, desperate to find someone real, someone kind, not for wealth, not for inheritance, but out of genuine heart. He had visited hundreds of places. Met hundreds of people. Most ignored him. Some pitied him. Others were polite. But none had done what Clara had done. The next day, Clara found a white envelope under the cash register with her name on it. Inside was a handwritten note. "Thank you for your kindness. Meet me here tomorrow at 8 a.m., Joe." She thought it was sweet. Probably just a thank you. Maybe he wanted to give her a book or offer to volunteer. She didn't think much of it. But when 8 a.m. came the next morning, Joe was there, cleaner, neater, though still modest. He smiled and motioned for her to sit. "I owe you more than just coffee," he said. "I want to tell you a story." He told her everything, his company, his past, the diagnosis, the betrayal by close friends who only circled like vultures after his will became public knowledge. He told her he had enough money to change entire cities, but no one to trust with it. Clara stared at him, unsure if this was some kind of joke. "You think I'm crazy, don't you?" Joe asked, his eyes twinkling. Clara hesitated. "I think, you're looking for something no amount of money can buy." Joe nodded. "Exactly. And I believe I've found it." In the weeks that followed, Joe began showing up at the coffee shop regularly. Not as a billionaire, but as a mentor, a friend. He listened to Clara talk about her dreams, her stories, her hopes of one day publishing a book that might inspire others. He spent time with Josh, even helped him prep for college entrance exams. Then, one Friday afternoon, Joe asked Clara and Josh to dinner. They met at a quiet restaurant overlooking the water. Clara wore the only dress she owned. Josh borrowed shoes from a friend. Over dessert, Joe cleared his throat. "I want to make things official," he said. "I've rewritten my will. Clara, I want you to inherit everything." Clara nearly choked on her water. "What?" "Joe, no. You can't." "I can," he said gently. "You've proven more heart in one moment than most people do in a lifetime. This isn't charity. This is legacy. You will use it well, I know it." Tears welled in her eyes. "But I didn't do anything special. I just bought you a coffee." Joe reached across the table and took her hand. Sometimes the smallest acts reveal the biggest hearts. Joe passed away 3 months later. Peacefully. With Clara and Josh at his side. News of his will shocked the world. Headlines read: Barista inherits billion-dollar fortune, but what she did with it will melt your heart. But Clara didn't buy fancy cars or disappear to private islands. She started a foundation, the Joe Whitmore Kindness Initiative, providing scholarships, food, housing, and healthcare for those in need. She published her first book, A Cup of Kindness, which became an international bestseller. Josh got into his dream college, fully funded by the foundation. Years later, when asked what changed her life the most, Clara always smiled and replied, "Not the money. Not the fame. Just the moment I chose kindness, without expecting anything in return." One act of kindness, however small, can ripple through the world, changing lives far beyond what we see. You never know who you're helping, or who they truly are.